Look who just walked in the studio.
Well, I didn't move there, by the way.
Just in time.
John Lewis.
Just in time for commercials.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But that's okay. We have
Pouring rain.
plenty of time left.
Is it pouring outside?
Yes, it's awful. I hate it.
Oh, it's great. You know why it's great?
I know it ought to be snow.
Well, that's true, too. I would prefer that.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But I like the rain on a Tuesday/Monday for us because it's first day back because we have to be inside.
Yeah, that's
so screw them up. Well, what about when we go outside to get home? How does that bode well for us?
Well, then it sucks. Then it sucks.
Yeah.
You're right. But I'm not out going to take a run.
In L.A., I love when it rains because I can finally get work done.
Right. Yes. Right. Exactly. Right. That's the feeling. So Ann Coulter is in studio.
Yes.
No shortage of things. You joined us last week. You had a couple of great topics about the hoaxes, the hate crime hoaxes.
Yes.
And the Muslim women caught. I mean, what is it about the Muslim women and making up all these hoaxes? And if you are so afraid, Ann Coulter wrote, well, there's always, in addition to immigration, there's always emigration. Go home. You wrote. And you hammered that point home very well last week.
Thank you.
But we are going to talk this week about the stuff that happened over the weekend and the upcoming inauguration.
Excellent.
Want to get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we actually sent out to the audience, are you excited? Are you legitimately like a Super Bowl? Are you excited about the inauguration? And some of the terms that have come back included orgasmic.
That's fantastic.
and Representative John Lewis, I mean, listen, just give us just get in a nutshell, tease us with something.
I think it never contributes to someone's personality to have a free pass for life. Not just John Lewis, but John McCain.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, they become very obnoxious people.
And by the way, also, as I pointed out, Representative Lewis criticized John McCain, likened him to George Wallace back in 2008. So
you're kidding.
That's right. You appreciate the irony there? Right.
And he boycotted Bush's inauguration. They're all acting like, and he said on TV, not telling the truth, this is the first inauguration I have missed in my entire life. No, he never goes to Republican inaugurations.
So he's a liar on top of it.
Yeah.
We
can't criticize him because he has and why don't I get a free pass for life? I'm constantly attacked, knocked down in the street. It's only because I travel with large men that that I haven't been knocked out or killed. Where's my free pass?
You know, that's an excellent question. Let me just ask this question since you asked that. I grew up in the projects in the South Bronx. I had ass pummeled because I was white.
Yeah.
Almost on a daily basis because when it wasn't daily, it was because I was able to run away.
Right.
So where the hell is my pass for getting beat up because of my race?
Yeah.
You raise a great point, Anko. I never thought of that. It just occurred to me right now. Where the hell's my pass?
Well, when I went to Poly Prep, I was one of only 4 Jews in the whole class, and they used to play a game called Sack the Quarterback, and that was me, and 25 Italian mobster kids would chase me to knock my ass down with a football because I was a Jew. So where's my pass?
Hey, Ann Coulter's in studio.
Looking at you, I think you could take them.
Yeah, now I can.
There you go. High praise.
Yes.
We're coming back after commercials with Ann. Thank you for being here, Ann Coulter.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
On the Bernie and Sid Show. Back after this. On this Tuesday of inauguration week, actually, very exciting week. We're joined in studio by Ann Coulter, who's beaming, who is the inspiration probably for the Trump candidacy. I would point out.
Certainly the immigration stuff.
That's right, absolutely right. And you're doing a book signing. Your latest book is called
In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
It was a fantastic. I did read it. I didn't know. I
Wasn't
can't
it
keep
fun?
up with you half the time because you're so prolific with these books.
I'm taking a break now. I usually take 1 year off between books because unlike most authors, I actually write my books and research my books. So I wrote Adios America. That's the one Trump read. Bless his soul. He's going to save America now. And then it was an emergency. So instead of taking a year off, I had to write and all I was doing was sitting home watching Trump on TV or introducing him at rallies anyway.
Right.
I figured I know what's going to happen. No one else seems to understand him. And also I knew a few never-Trumpers, like our pal Sid here.
Wow.
And I just thought I'd write it in a way that explains him. I couldn't do it person by person, bar by bar. And if I just wrote it all down. And also it's funny, isn't it? It's
very fun. As characteristically funny.
Thank you.
Like your columns are just always a belly laugh included.
Thank you.
I might
the last column was basically porn.
But
The first 3 paragraphs, my
Thank
God.
I'm leading up to your book signing before
Yes.
we forget it. February 1st, you're doing a book signing where?
At the Women's National Republican Club. This is the one that was supposed to be last Wednesday, but it turned out they had booked a very small room. They were sold out immediately. I was flying into New York, sitting in an airport, arguing with an Ann Coulter fan on Twitter, Antensity. He said, "Oh, it's sold out. It's only ladies who belong to the club invited." And I email him back and say, "No, Women's National Republican Club. It's right on Rock Center there,
Right.
across from the Christmas tree. Beautiful building, huge ballroom." And I said, "It's not sold out." And then I find out the next day, "Oh yeah, we didn't book the ballroom. We booked a little room for." It was a big room, but not big enough. So I said, "Let's put it off until we got the ballroom."
Awesome.
So that's a Wednesday,
February 1.
Wednesday, February 1. It's open to the public, folks. Go see Ann Coulter. She's doing a book signing. Buy a book and have her sign it.
Yes, you probably have to sign up in advance.
Okay, so we started talking earlier about Representative John Lewis, and we agreed that he's not immune to criticism because of what he went through heroically on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. He became a congressman afterwards, and then everything is fair game, just like Senator John McCain gets criticized by the left, even though he went through what he went through in the Hanoi Hilton.
Yes, although both of them, I can't say that they can be criticized because they can't. I'm complaining about the world we live in. I don't think this is a good way to develop a scintillating personality. Did you see that speech yesterday?
Which one?
Oh my gosh, the John Lewis speech.
Yeah. We played it.
That was the most embarrassing, boring. And I emailed one of my liberal friends who had tweeted that John Lewis got a pass for life. He lives in L.A. So I emailed him saying, if you had seen this boring speech today, you would withdraw the pass for life.
Forget that
No,
pass
you
for life.
cannot bore us to death.
Right.
Listen, John.
That's where I draw the line.
John Kennedy didn't get a pass for life. Even Martin Luther King got criticized for his infidelities after he was assassinated. You don't get a pass for life. Bill Cosby was good to go for a long time.
But you
don't get a pass for life.
Well, I tweeted a few others. Jeremiah Denton, who was in the war. He was John McCain's commander. He's the one who blinked out torture, SOS, the first time Americans found out that our troops were being tortured in Vietnam. He was horribly attacked. He defended Sessions the first time around. Who's that famous congressman? I love him so much. I forget his name, but he was an ace in Vietnam. He just kept shooting. He was an amazing pilot. Just kept shooting down Vietnamese planes. He saved thousands, probably tens of thousands of Americans.
A guy from California.
Yes, he's on my Twitter feed. I can't believe I've forgotten his name right now, but he used to go by the first name. It was a nickname, but I'll think of it.
Dutch.
He never got a pass for life. They caught him in some really teeny tiny little alleged, bribery thing. Oh, come on. Nancy Pelosi isn't fit to lick his boots.
Wow.
And they take him out.
Well, that does bode the question, though. We'll get back to John Lewis in a second. This is just a curiosity question. Is there anybody who deserves a pass for life? Can you tell me anybody you think that person deserves a pass for life? Politics, anything, news, anybody, religious leaders, anybody deserve a pass for life, or anybody who messes up should be criticized?
I think that's right. I mean, obviously you have a period, and the comedians always say too soon. There's a period after, tragedy or something.
Somebody dies, right?
Right. But I'm more objecting to the rule that certain people, because it just doesn't help them develop courage and cleverness and principles. If you have a pass for life, you become a jerk.
Yeah. But the bottom line is that this inauguration is not just another political event. It's actually it doesn't lend itself to partisan bickering. It's about the peaceful transition of power. It's sacred, and everybody shows up on one day. The day before, the day after, you can say what you want, but on that particular day, the forefathers had that in mind. Yeah. You want to go see Hamilton if you need to learn history, because apparently that's where people get their history these days. And by the way, also
Duke Cunningham. Thank you.
Very good. And the only time it appears that the Democrats don't like democracy is when the white working class gets all uppity and forgets their place, forgets where they belong.
Well put.
Apparently, that's the only time.
And you know what's especially hilarious about it is I mean, does everybody have Alzheimer's? Remember, we went through like 6 weeks during the election when Trump alone was asked, not Hillary, but Trump was asked by Chris Wallace, will you accept the results of the election?
Yes,
and
yes.
Trump said, and I think perfectly reasonably, and I would have accepted it from Hillary as well, let's see what happens. I mean, if there's cheating, but he said we'll have to wait and see. If it had been a very close election, for Pete's sake, it's always Democrats who are the ones not accepting the results of an election. Hillary was not even asked that question, but because he did not automatically say, yes, I will accept the results of the election, for 6 weeks, all we heard on CNN and MSNBC was this man is a demagogue, he's a threat to democracy, you have got to accept the results of the election.
It was
back when
appalling.
they thought Hillary was going to win.
Let's be honest. We had a caller ask us this earlier. If, in fact, he would have lost, he never would have gone. He would have said it was rigged. I got cheated out.
No.
I should have won. He never would have gone.
Oh, no.
You think he would have gone?
Oh, totally.
Really?
Republicans always do. If you look at the history of this.
Is he a Republican, Donald Trump? Is he really a Republican?
Yes, lamb chop. He just won the Republican nomination with more votes than any Republican's gotten in history. I think that makes him a Republican.
I guess.
I've been playing a clip of Hillary Clinton this morning, saying exactly what you were just saying. How what Trump said was appalling. And
you have the clip?
Oh yeah,
Please,
I've been saying that she said this about John Lewis, and it sounds so perfect. Listen to Hillary Clinton talking about what John Lewis said yesterday on Martin Luther King Day.
That's horrifying. That is not the way our democracy works. We've been around for 240 years. We've had free and fair elections. We've accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them. Let's be clear about what he is saying and what that means. He is denigrating, he's talking down our democracy. And I, for one, am appalled.
Hillary Clinton on Representative John Lewis yesterday on Martin Luther King Day. I mean, it fits so perfectly, right?
That's all we heard from MSNBC,
Yes.
CNN, and a fair number of them on Fox for about, how close was that debate to the election? Every single day.
Yeah.
Right.
You'd wonder had he assassinated someone? All he said is, let's wait and see.
And
But even you, the most ardent Donald Trump supporter, you'd have to admit you're somewhat embarrassed. Now, with this big party coming up on Friday, this huge event, Ann Coulter, that the best act this guy can get is Toby Keith. Even the Bruce Springsteen cover band, the B, not the E, the B Street band, backed out. What's going on?
Well, I happen to know Trump didn't even want to have inaugural parties because he really wants to get right to work.
Wait a second, it's going to work Monday.
He led a movement. He wanted to say, maybe we'll put this off for like 4 months because he wants to bring the jobs back, start building the wall. And they were, at least some of them, were seriously talking about he'll have a quiet swearing-in ceremony. Nobody will come to Washington. He'll just get right to work. And then I think they reasonably concluded, no, this is a reward for all these people out in the States who work so hard for you. They want to get dressed up. They want to celebrate your inauguration. You got to do it. But he has gone. Normally there are 10 inaugural balls down to 3. Instead of like a 1-hour inaugural parade, it's going to be 10 minutes. He wants to get to work, and I am Donald Trump's number one super fan.
Yes, you are.
I'm not going to the inauguration. I'd rather cut my own liver out with a butter knife.
What was I saying earlier?
It's going to be packed.
I'd rather
Same
be
thing.
raped by 3 Iraqis, as Sid would say.
I mean, if you weren't a public figure, it would be fun. I understand. A lot of my friends, they want to celebrate. They're insisting on going. I understand why people want to go there.
Yeah. So you're going to have it
but
home.
Trump doesn't want to be there. He wants to get to work.
An Ann Coulter inauguration party at home? Like people come to your house, have some wine, some cheese, hang out, naked twist or whatever you do. What do you do?
Isn't the swearing in at like noon? I'll just be waking up then. I'll roll over, turn on the TV, go Trump.
Unless you're an Uber VIP with private jet and limos and all of this stuff, it is a disaster to go. Like this, for example, the Super Bowl. I would never want to go to the Super Bowl. Similarly with the inauguration.
See, I wouldn't mind doing it with the Super Bowl, but only because I don't really care that much about the game. I am a girl.
Right. But the week leading up is great there too. So for the Super Bowl, at least it's fun.
So what about this incompetent punk that leads the CIA, John Brennan? And I mean, this guy is. You tell me I'm convinced that he leaked that crap. That the intelligence briefing that he should not have included all that garbage in when he briefed Trump and Obama. What do you think about this guy?
I love that the left is suddenly so admiring of the intelligence community. I've never even heard this expression, the intelligence community. Now, and you must notice this, now that I'm pointing it out to you every time you turn on TV, you will notice it. You cannot talk about the intelligence community on television without saying these people die for their job. You know, a lot of people die. Could we compare coal miners to intelligence agents?
Right.
And by the way, I used to like the CIA back before I was born. And then the Democrats decided to dismantle our intelligence agencies. I think I talked about this last week. Representative Ron Dellums, among others, there was the famous Church Commission in the United States Senate where they just took away the CIA's ability to do what an intelligence agency does, which is spy. Right. You can't spy. So instead of spies at the CIA, it's thousands upon thousands of lawyers who sit around reading the Pashtun Tatler and tell us what's going on. They know nothing. Yep. I mean, what are their successes? They didn't know about 9/11. They didn't believe. Russia warned us about the Boston Marathon bombers. Yep. And they blow that off. They know nothing. Walmart intelligence knows more than our CIA does. And this is not a recent position for me. You can look back over my work. We waste so much money. Oh, and I used to work for the Senate Judiciary Committee after law school. And it drove me crazy back then. I already knew about the Church Commission and how our spies weren't actually spying. Yeah. But we give them so much money, and they won't tell us what they're doing. Oh, no, it's top secret. And I kept saying to everybody, they're over there drinking pina coladas.
Right. But the point of what they're doing, the whole thing, and it worked beautifully because now it makes you hear the late-night comics repeating the golden showers jokes. So people think that, oh, yeah, Russia does have something on Trump, and so that's why he's sucking up to Russia, and that's why Russia helped him in the election. So he is illegitimate. It was a manipulated election. And it all gels together when you think about it. It's actually brilliant on their part. And now you have John Lewis
citing it. Except I think they went too far. I
agree.
It was so insane.
But to the common denominator nitwits, as a matter of fact, I said this to you last week, that BuzzFeed putting out the details hurt them because it was so ridiculous.
Yes, yes.
But it doesn't stop the late night entertainment people from citing it as though it actually happened, as though it was real.
Well, I would recommend for anyone who is seriously interested in this and isn't just being partisan one side or the other, there's an article that I tweeted out from the New York Review of Books, not a bastion of Trump support, but it's still a respectable intellectual publication, unlike the New York Times. And which is not even intellectual anymore. And it's by a Trump hater, as you'll see at the bottom paragraph, but it's by someone who knows something about intelligence, who actually read the intelligence report and going through basically laughing at it, saying, okay, I'm going to quote to you. Here's their strongest evidence. There's no evidence of any Russian influence. It's just, and who else said it? David Ignatius. Not a slouch, Washington Post foreign policy reporter. And he said this report is all allegations, no evidence. So I'm recommending they make, Harvey Levin, head of the CIA, because his reports have evidence from TMZ.
Yes. He's got
TMZ, they got
sources.
Facts, they got sources,
they got pictures.
They got evidence, pictures.
Yes.
Yeah. He should be head of the CIA.
You know, on a serious note, you laugh about that. You talked about the CIA. This is going wrong. So here's Barack Obama on 60 Minutes on Sunday. And as Bernard pointed out, his 17th time with Steve Croft. 17th. And he goes on to say...
You think Steve Croft has some Obama DNA on his ties?
So he goes on to say, right now I'm the best president I can possibly be. All right? And then he goes on to once again pat himself on the back, talk about his wife. In fact, Joe Biden called his wife the greatest first lady ever. Question, delusional or some evidence to both of those?
It's a little like the John Lewis, John McCain, infallible for life thing. I could come up with perfectly nice things to say about Obama and Michelle. I could.
You could.
I do think he's charismatic. Well, okay. I disagree with his policies, but he's charismatic, he's charming, looks good in a suit, he's funny, he sings well. I would admit all that. Right. But I kind of don't want to because, it's not just these two. It's also, what was that show? The girl living with the...
Three's Company?
No. With the gay guy.
Oh,
Will and Grace.
Will
and Grace.
Oh.
Do you remember how you had to... It was like you'd be sent off to the concentration camp if you did not admit that is the greatest TV show ever. And the girl on that show is the most beautiful woman in Hollywood. Do you agree with that? Do you agree? Because otherwise, that's it. You are out of polite side. And Beyonce, the most beautiful woman. If you do not admit she is the So I get sick of this pressure to agree with a matter of taste.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right.
You're right. And I was mentioned earlier, the First Lady, she tweeted out, she's passive-aggressive, thinking of Dr. King and great leaders like Representative John Lewis who carry on his legacy. May their example be our call to action. This is in the wake of what Lewis said. That is a passive-aggressive, I support what John Lewis said, tweet right there. So for whatever that's worth. But, in the remaining minute that we have, this Obamacare repeal thing, essentially it has to be repealed because the middle class, the working class people are being slaughtered with
so is
premium
and the self-employed.
Right, and now so they put people on who essentially lived irresponsible lives for the most part, not with exceptions. Bad luck, right. But yet,
which we're all perfectly happy to pay for, and Trump will take care of that. Of course, we will pay for the people who are just born with some horrible problem.
You have working class, middle class people and millennials opting not to have health insurance because it costs so much.
Yeah.
So you have to repeal that thing right away.
Right.
Replace or no replace.
And the Republicans, I would say, this is one thing my party is very bad at. They need the witnesses. They need to bring in who you're talking about. Couple, both of them working, self-employed. I'm self-employed. I can't get health insurance. The whole thing was for a mammogram. I mean, I can get a health insurance, but I can only go to a doctor who also does shoe repair in Penn Station. Yeah. There are no... And by the way, my first two plans, I could have written another book in the amount of time I've spent finding my plan under Obamacare because I was thrown off my plan that I was perfectly happy with, got a letter in the mail,
which you were supposed to be able to keep.
Made illegal. I was getting it through the Bar Association. First, year one, fully approved Obamacare plan. Before December, bankrupt. We're now in year two. In June, I found out. Year two, and it takes weeks to figure out which plan you're going to get. You fill out all the forms. You prove your identity and everything else. Year two, bankrupt! I have to do it again. And they've destroyed my credit because when the first one went bankrupt, I went to get, what was the whole purpose of Obamacare? So the girls could get mammograms because of that girl who died because she had breast cancer because she couldn't afford, remember that? She was going to want to be buried in the Obama t-shirt. Okay, so I go to get my once, I didn't even go to the doctor, I go once a year and get the mammogram and the pap smear. So I got the mammogram, but the fully approved by New York State, by Obama. It's about to go bankrupt. It wasn't bankrupt yet. They don't pay for the mammogram. So I keep saying, okay, but I was covered. Just because they're not paying isn't Ann's fault. Eventually I get a letter from New York State saying I can send it to them saying New York State has absorbed the debt. Meanwhile, they keep coming after me. They've given the bill to debt collectors, and I'll be damned if I'm paying when I'm saying $700 a month for one. And they've ruined my credit. I went to get something last week, and I was told, hey, by the way, and I don't get anything on credit. I pay all my bills on time. It's because of that mammogram that they sent to the debt collector.
Why they have to repeal it immediately, even if they don't have a replace in place.
Just get rid of it.
Get rid of it and figure something out. People will
these Republicans have to have the plan ready. They've had 8 years to work on this.
And sadly, we're out of time. But
good to see you.
Listen, thank God you're healthy. Thank God you're healthy, and you don't really need.
I know.
Otherwise,
February 1st, Women's National Republican Club. Maybe I'll come on that morning.
Yes, you should.
You're invited. We look forward to having you that morning.
Okay.
On the Bernie and Sid show with Ann Coulter. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Back after this.